What was born from indigenous traditions centuries ago, lacrosse slowly evolved to a sport for the wealthy, often played at elite universities and private schools.
At the University of Pennsylvania, which is playing Harvard at Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Take a look at the map right here. Of the top 30 incoming 2025 freshman D1 players, more than 80% of them come from towns with a higher median household income than the national median. And majority of them are also going to some of the most expensive universities in the country, where full athletic scholarships are rare.
There definitely is a stigma around lacrosse in that it is a more affluent sport because of, where the hotbeds are in the Northeast.
Lacrosse is a stickball sport. It requires equipment like hockey and golf. So it's expensive to play, which means in some areas, if not minded for, it won't be egalitarian.
But that is somewhat changing. Over the last 2 decades, participation has surged, making lacrosse the fastest growing team sport worldwide.
This growth where lacrosse was growing by 200% each decade. Now the sport has been adopted around the world.
This is a time where a lot of eyeballs are turning to lacrosse.
For the first time in 100 years, lacrosse is re-entering the Olympics. And in June 2025, ESPN renewed its media rights deal with the Premier Lacrosse League and its newly formed women's league. The media giant also made a minority equity investment in the PLL. About $118 million has been invested in the league to date. CNBC digs into the rise of lacrosse and whether the sport's recent momentum can really push it into the mainstream. Lacrosse is one of the oldest sports in the world, but its history in North America is deeply rooted in spirituality.
The first version of the game that was created by Native Americans had no rules. 2 people met together on a field, sometimes 1,000 yards long, with goals on either end, no out-of-bounds markers, no clock.
This is Paul Rabel, co-founder of the Premier Lacrosse League, and at one point, one of the sport's top players.
Cut to the late 1800s, the game was adopted at the collegiate level and began playing by the Johns Hopkins, Maryland, NYU of the world.
Grassroots lacrosse found its stronghold in the northeastern part of the United States, and eventually at Ivy League universities where there are no athletic scholarships. While they're not known for being athletic powerhouses in basketball or football, Ivy League lacrosse programs are some of the most competitive. The schools regularly qualify to the NCAA tournament. In fact, between 2005 and 2025, no men's Ivy basketball team has made it to the Elite 8 or beyond. But for lacrosse, they made 46 appearances at the NCAA tournaments, clinching over 35 wins and 2 national championships. Cornell University's men's team won the national title in 2025. Additionally, what elicits lacrosse's elite perception isn't just from the brand name schools, but also the high barrier to entry. You'll need sticks, heads, cleats, gloves, goggles, goalie gear, and the list goes on.
I was introduced to the game when I was 12. My next door neighbor, one of my close friends, gave me his backup stick. So it's expensive to play. And I grew up luckily because my neighbor gave me his backup equipment. Otherwise, I may not have played lacrosse.
But the makeup of athletes and the schools investing in programs is changing. Over a third of high school lacrosse programs in the US are in states with lower median household income than the national median. States like California, Florida, Georgia, and Wisconsin have become lacrosse strongholds. The sport ranks as the 13th most played team sport in U.S. high schools in 2024.
It's now everywhere in the United States. And once it hits those big population centers, which it now is, I think the growth will continue unabated.
Between 2004 and 2024, the total amount of athletes participating in lacrosse at university levels jumped about 140%. Women's lacrosse in particular saw about 145% uptick. To put that in perspective, more mainstream sports like soccer and women's basketball grew 47.8% and 14.1% respectively.
Every year there's a new program announcing that they're bringing on women's lacrosse. Selfishly, as a coach and a competitor, that means more competition for us.
To capitalize on the surge, Rabel launched the Premier Lacrosse League in 2018.
The idea of starting a professional sports league from scratch feels impossible because there's so many things you have to do and get right, from building team identities to signing players, hiring coaches, GMs, organizing venues, building out your schedule, ticket sales team, sponsorship team, marketing, legal, the list goes on.
The PLL toured different venues around the country and poached players from existing Pro League, Major League Lacrosse by offering equity stake. Major League Lacrosse was founded in 2001, but struggled to break through its modest but diehard audience. By 2020, the 2 leagues merged.
Major League Lacrosse had started in 2001, and we wanted to address a few things differently. So being in the state of competition is really challenging, and we had to get the main thing right at that time to prove to our investors that there was something sustainable and long-term here. Within 5 years, we took that number of 15 million to 45 million. Today, there are 48 million lacrosse fans. We know there's a lot of room to grow, and there are things that our audience wants that we've yet to deliver, that we're prepared to deliver on in the coming years.
In 2025, the league signed a 5-year deal with ESPN, which took a 3% equity stake in PLL. It also announced its women's league, the WLL. The WLL will play a faster version of lacrosse with fewer players called Lacrosse Sixes. This format helped World Lacrosse gain full IOC recognition in 2021, clearing a major hurdle for Olympic inclusion.
Lacrosse Sixes is a more fast-paced, continuous format designed to appeal to youth, drive participation, and align to Olympic Agenda 2020 +5.
I was extremely skeptical. We have to completely change our game to be in the Olympics. Like, no, we love the version that we play now. That's the version that we want to showcase to the world. And then as we started to play more, I fell in love with sixes.
Outside of the US, over 90 nations are picking up lacrosse sticks, more than doubling from the 45 nations just 2 decades ago. So what is keeping lacrosse from going mainstream? First, it needs to break free from its niche demographic. As of August 2025, there are 48 million lacrosse fans that the PLL has tapped into. However, it's estimated that 60% of those fans are people with net worths of at least $1 million. And as for that 48 million fan base, well, it hasn't exactly turned into direct and sustained viewership just yet. Lacrosse's reach is modest. The PLL's biggest TV games draw in hundreds of thousands, not millions, and its pro league is still very young. To reach mainstream, it could take decades. Take the WNBA. The league has been around for decades, and it's only now on the cusp of profitability. Average player salary still hovers around $100,000, and viewership averaged over 1 million on ESPN for the first time in 2024.
No professional women's lacrosse league has lasted more than 4 years. We're trying to create something that women's lacrosse players can graduate from college and they can look forward to a long career of playing professional lacrosse and making a living while doing it.
But the sport's growth isn't just limited to how well professional leagues perform in the US. The international growth is helping attract more fans and players.
This dream of playing in the Olympic Games will now spread and be shared by young people around the globe, whereas up until now, this dream wasn't in place.
But for lacrosse to grow a larger audience, it will need more than Olympic visibility or professional leagues.
The game is evolving, the type of athlete that's playing is evolving, so it's important that we evolve with that, but we have to make it easier for the average viewer to watch.
Getting that global exposure again and having a pro league that you can introduce to a lot of the casual fans that may be seeing lacrosse for the first time is where we have to execute.